In the teoshbaye concept, I will use you as an example. Your mother and her sisters, all these ladies are your mothers. And the husbands of these women are your fathers. And all the children from these marriages are your brothers and sisters. This is how that works so far. Now, your mother's brothers are your uncles, and their wives are your aunts, and their children are your cousins. So that takes care of your mother's side of the family. Your father and his brothers are your fathers too. And the wives of these men are also your mothers, and the children of those marriages are also your brothers and sisters. Now, your father's sisters, those are your aunts, and their husbands are your uncles, and their children are your cousins. This is the teoshbaye concept. That's the organization. Now, that's just the foundation, okay? Now we take it up. In the teoshbaye, people who have the same talent, they form a society, and they help each other. They give each other ideas to inspire each other to constantly develop their talent, whatever it is, whether it's hunting, cooking, making clothes, whatever it is. They inspire each other. They'll say, oh, try this out. What do you think? Hey, that's pretty good. So what ends up happening is that everybody is providing some kind of service to the entire group, the entire teoshbaye. Now, this also includes other talents that don't have anything to do with hunting or cooking or making clothes. There's other things too, like people are wise. Sometimes people are really smart, and that's their talent. So they will be in councils discussing things and making things work for the good of the entire community. But each talent formed a society, like okolakichie, they call it. This is like a club, but they call it a society. And when children are born, the adults watch the children and they get an idea of what kind of talents these children are going to have. So they watch them and they see how they develop. And there's also games that the children play, and part of the games are kind of like tests. They're kind of like aptitude tests. These games, they teach things, and they also teach cooperation. Competition through cooperation. Cooperation through competition, both ways. And this is a healthy concept. And through these games, they can tell which kids are going to be good at hunting, for example. Yeah, and then they'll slowly teach them. They get toy weapons, toy bow and arrow, and toy spears. And then they play games through that to develop their skills. As they get older, they slowly brought to the hunt. They kind of stand by and watch how things happen. And then as they get older, they slowly join. And as they're observing all of this, they see what happens. They observe. I was trying to say observe and see at the same time. They observe. That's Dave English. They see the whole process, that when they bring a buffalo down, they see that before the hunt, there's a prayer, there's a ceremony. The ceremony is apologizing to the Buffalo Nation that they're only going to take what they need, but they're going to use every part of the buffalo that they can, and that the buffalo is going to feed everybody. Yeah, it's not just going to feed the person who took it down. It's going to feed the whole community. They see this happening. They hear this prayer, and then they go do the hunt. And when the hunt is over, they make an offering to the buffalo people. They take something from themselves and offer it to the buffalo people as a thanksgiving and an apology. And they repeat that vow again that they're going to use everything, and they honor the buffalo people, they thank them, and they give something back. Everybody will benefit from this. So there's no selfishness involved. They see this as little children. They see this is the way. And so when they bring the animals back, there's celebration, there's feast, everybody's going to be fed. If somebody needs new pants, a new dress, that's going to come from there. And there's tools that come from the bones, the stomachs make the soup kettles, the tails serve a purpose, the skull is going to be used for ceremonies, the horns serve a purpose, everything serves a purpose. They see this, and they see that everybody gets fed. So the buffalo does not belong to a family. It belongs to the entire group. So when you see a movie where they hunt buffalo and then the families go and stand by the buffalo that their hunter brought down, this is incorrect. That's totally false. That's a Hollywood idea. That's not our idea. So just keep that in mind. Movies don't always tell the correct information. Always keep that in mind. Okay, so after they bring that back and they see that everybody is celebrating and that this is going to help everybody, see these children, they see this as they age. So by the time they become hunters, see now they're in that mindset. So they're thinking with a community mindset that whatever they do is for the good of the camp. And the cooks, they know what to do. The people who make clothes, they know what to do with the animal and stuff like that. And the people who make tools, they know what to do. And everybody is taking part. Everybody is benefiting from this. And they see that everybody is important, that the hunters are not any more important than those who cook. Yes, the hunters bring in the animal, but the hunters, they don't know how to cook. They're not tool builders. So everybody is serving a purpose. Everybody. Everybody is important. Nobody is more important than the other because every talent is different. You cannot compare talents. You cannot say this talent is better than that talent. You cannot say that because that's apples and oranges. You can't say apples are better than oranges unless you're allergic to one. Yeah, I said that now. I want oranges. Shoot. But this is how a teoshbaye worked long time ago. Yeah, and then when you call each other, you do not call each other by name. You call each other by how you're related to them. That's a kinship term. So to all your mothers, look, you have a bunch of mothers. You say ina to every one of them. To all your fathers, you say ate. To all your aunts, you say Tomi. To all your uncles, you say Lekshi. And then there's the brother-sister terms, and there's a whole bunch of them. There's different ones for boys, different ones for girls, and same thing for the cousin terms. There's different terms for boys and different terms for girls, so you have to learn all of them. So that's how you call each other. Like say, for example, if Sitting Bull were to visit Crazy Horse, which he did, Crazy Horse never said, "Hi, Sitting Bull, how are you?" He never said that. He called him Lekshi, because Sitting Bull is the generation of Crazy Horse's parents. So Crazy Horse called him Uncle. How Lekshi? It's really good to see you. So he called him Uncle. He never said Sitting Bull. Yeah, he said Uncle. That's how it is in Lakota. You greet each other by how you're related to them. And if you're not related, if that person is the same generation as you, then you call them cousin. If they're the same generation as your parents, you call them auntie and uncle, depending on if it's a man or a woman. So this is why Crazy Horse addressed Sitting Bull as Lekshi, uncle, because Sitting Bull was the same generation as Crazy Horse's parents. And if it's the same generation as your children, the next generation, then you call them niece and nephew. And all grandchildren are takosha. It doesn't matter if you're related to them or not. And all grandmas and grandpas are grandma and grandpa to everybody. So you say Lala to all grandpas and Unchi or Unchila to all grandmas. This is the teoshbaye. We had names, but that's for special and ceremonial uses only. But for everyday talking, you call each other by how you're related to them. And if you're not related to them, then you use the terms that I just explained. So that's how it worked. So we always addressed everybody as a relative. That's why when I said, "How mitakuyapi," which means, "Hello, my relatives," I'm greeting you as relatives. And in the Lakota way of thinking, when somebody calls you a relative term, it makes you feel good. It makes you want to talk to that person. So we consider ourselves relatives to the animals, to the plants, that which moves and grows, everything. We are all Wamakashkan. Wamakashkan is in 4 categories, and they are Hupahu, the winged, Hutopa, the 4-legged, Hunumpa, the 2-legged, and Takushkan, that which moves and grows, which is everything else. So considering everything relatives is a really big concept in our culture. So in the teoshbaye, you see how that fits in. When everybody's calling each other by a kinship term, it makes them feel connected to each other. And then with everybody doing their talent, everybody is contributing to the society, to their community. So you end up with a very, very healthy community. And people are also developing emotionally too, because when things happen, like when somebody dies, there's a whole ceremony that involves that. When somebody's born, there's another ceremony involved with that. So you see all this happening, and you develop emotionally through this. So by the time young people are 15 years old, they are more emotionally developed than most adults today in the modern Western world. They know how to prioritize. They know what's important. And they do it because it works. So that's the teoshbaye system. T is living. Oshbaye is a group. So you put T and Oshbaye, when you put that together, you get the word teoshbaye. A teoshbaye is not all people related to each other. There's other different groups combined with them too. It's just that they all have something in common. And that's the foundation concept for our society. And that's how it works. Now, it goes another direction too. You are a teoshbaye as well. You are a teoshbaye yourself. All by yourself, you are a teoshbaye. Now what that means is within yourself, look at everything that makes who you are. Your physical body, your mind, your soul, and your emotional self. These are 4 parts. They connect to each other. And where they connect is deep down inside of you, and that's called your sacred center. So when you are a little child, you're taught to take care of those 4 parts as best as you can. So not only were we physically healthy and spiritually healthy, we were also emotionally healthy and mentally healthy too. But you have to go within yourself to do that. And then each part, that has parts too. Like let's look at your body. Look at everything that makes up your body. Your heart, your lungs, your toes, your fingernails, your eyelashes, your eyes, your pupils, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, your bones, your tendons, your nerves. Look at all these things that make up who you are. They all work together. They're all relatives. You see? They're teoshbaye. Isn't that cool? So they all work together. So even the tiniest thing in your body, if that gets sick, it could really throw you for a loop. Like for example, One day, I was eating a breakfast with sausage and eggs, and I started to get a little bit dizzy, so I thought maybe I was food poisoned. I thought maybe the sausage was bad or something. But I didn't take a shower yet, so I hurried up and I just stopped eating and threw my food in the trash, and I took a shower. And when I got out of the shower, oh my gosh, I was so dizzy. And I had to throw up, yeah. I had to vomit. And luckily I was in the bathroom. But it got to the point where if I just moved my head a millimeter, I would get dizzy again. The room would just spin, not just in circles, but up and down and sideways. It's like the room was a ball and some kid was shaking it all kinds of directions, and I'm inside the ball. That's what it was like. I've never felt that in my life before. So I knew I had to lay down eventually. So like I said, if I just barely moved, the dizziness was just incredibly strong. So I got my strength together and I said, okay, I'm going to run down the hallway, put my arms out so that if I lean to the hall one way, I'll catch myself on the wall. So I ran down the hallway that way and went to my bedroom, and I got the trash. Time I got there, I had to throw up some more. And I couldn't believe how much I had thrown up that day. I couldn't believe that. It's just unreal. The next morning, the dizziness was still there, but I didn't feel like throwing up anymore. And so for about a week, it was really tough. I just stayed in bed, basically. And so the second week started, I was wondering, why am I not getting better? And I talked with some specialists, and she said that it looks like you have an ear infection. And I thought, huh? Ear? What does this have to do with my ears? And she said, inside your ear, in the deep inner ear, there's a little tiny, tiny thing. And this little tiny thing, what it does is it controls your balance. So, for example, when you turn your head, you don't get dizzy. When you stand up, you don't get dizzy. When you walk, you don't get dizzy. When you lay down, you don't get dizzy. When this thing gets infected, you lose all sense of direction. And every little tiny move, you get dizzy. And that's what happened to me. Even just to put my head up, oh, the room would just spin like crazy. That's why the first few days I just laid still. But I was really hurting in the stomach too, yeah, from all that throwing up. So I didn't mind laying still, listen to music and sleep and stuff like that. It was okay. I drank tea and took stomach medicine. My stomach was okay after a few days, but that dizziness was there for almost a year. I'm not joking. It hit me really, really bad. And even today, it's years later, and I'm probably 98%. I'm not 100% yet. It hit me that bad. This shows you, this thing in our ears is so small. But the thing is, when it gets sick, you can't function. You can't move because you get dizzy. See how powerful that is? It's so tiny, minute, so minute, and yet without it, we wouldn't be able to do anything. So our bodies are wonderful creations, wonderful. Everything works together. That's a teoshbaye. So just like this little tiny thing inside your ear, just like that, that's so important. It's just as important as your heart and lungs and your brain and liver and kidney. But this thing is so tiny. But look at the important work that it does. Anyway, in Poland, there was an experiment, and oh, it is amazing. Deep inside your nose, there's these olfactory nerves. What they did to this guy who was paralyzed from the chest on down, and they had this idea that these olfactory nerves, they're constantly regenerating. And so they came up with this idea, hey, why don't we put this in somebody's spine where they're injured that caused them to be paralyzed? Why don't we put some of these cells there and see if it regenerates things there? And here it did. So they're showing this guy who had this surgery done 6 months ago.
And the guy is walking. He's moving his arms. He's sitting up. He's standing. He's not perfect because it's still happening. The regeneration in his spine is still happening. But he is actually walking. It's not a fast walk, but he is walking. Isn't that just amazing? I mean, how something so small inside your body that it makes such a huge impact. Never underestimate the size of something. If it's really small, never underestimate that because the power is more than you can imagine. Because look at this guy, he's walking, yeah? I mean, he still has to use a cane, but he is walking. He's moving his toes. He's able to sit up. He's able to comb his hair. It's just amazing. And I think that's wonderful. So doctors are saying we have to repeat this as many times as possible. We have to get more paralyzed people doing this operation because this is the only way they're going to perfect that operation is to do it as many times as possible. That's good news, no matter what. So that means more people who are paralyzed are going to be walking again. I'm happy for those people. I don't even know them. Something so small, so minutely small inside your nose is doing something to the spine and you put it there. Isn't that amazing? How wonderful our bodies are that when we can make a transplant within the same body? What these olfactory nerves are doing, like I said, what they're doing is they're always regenerating themselves. That was a damn cool idea, yeah? To think, hey, why don't we put this in the spine? Because the way they got paralyzed is their nerves are damaged. And they're not repairable. But these little olfactory things, they're constantly regenerating. So they applied them to these nerves, and by golly, they started getting repaired. And they start walking. This guy's starting to walk, and that's amazing. The doctor was standing there saying this is more significant than the first man on the moon. I totally agree. Shit, we don't have no business on the moon anyway, yeah? Why are we spending all that money trying to land on the moon? There isn't even any air up there. Anyway, I thought that's really cool news, yeah? So if you know somebody who's paralyzed, tell them about that. It's really, really amazing. All these things that make up who you are, they all work together. They're all relatives. They're teoshbaye. See, everything in a teoshbaye is important. Everybody in a teoshbaye is important. This means everyone is important. You are very important. You are a blessing. So when you live your life in a healthy way, this is how you're going to find your talent. And when you use your talent in a healthy way, you're going to be blessed for that. Because of something called wawokie. This is a natural law of generosity. And what this means is that whatever you send out in communication returns to you 4 times as strong. So if it's healthy, it's going to come back as a blessing somehow. If it's unhealthy, you're going to mess yourself up because it's coming back 4 times as strong. So when you hurt others, you hurt yourself even more. This is wawokie. So communication, it's not just what you say, and it's not just what you do. It's how you say things, and it's how you do things. And that's just half of it. The other half is how you interpret things. When you see something, how do you interpret that? When you touch or taste something, how do you interpret that? When you hear something, are you really listening? Because most people today, they don't know how to actively listen. They can hear, but they don't actively listen, so they miss something. So that's natural law of generosity. So it's also how you interpret incoming information. How do you interpret things? This means that to really understand something, you have to take the time to check it out. Because you don't like it when somebody looks at you and doesn't like the way you look and then calls you a bad person just because they don't like the way you look. You wouldn't like that. So don't do that to others. Because maybe you're a good person, but that person did not take the time to know you. That's not your problem. That's their problem. So don't do that to others. Again, that means taking the time to check something out. If you don't know anything about it, at least take some time to learn about it and see what it is. Don't judge it before checking it out. So when you do this, so you're communicating in a healthy way. When you are taking the time to check things out, you're communicating in a healthy way. And you learn to do this in a teoshbaye as well. This is part of developing emotionally to communicate. So you see this natural law of generosity happening all day long when people are doing things for each other, helping each other, supporting one another when somebody's having a bad day and people support one another and things like that. It makes for a very strong, healthy society. And likewise, inside of you is a society too. Yeah? So this is how we get our definition for this expression, mitake oyasing. A lot of people say, all my relations. But most people, they only look at half of it. Yeah, they just see everything around them as relatives, and that's only half of it. The other half is everything inside of you too. So the Lakota Star Knowledge way of defining mitake oyasing is that we're all connected, just like everything inside of us is connected to each other. Mitake oyasing starts inside of you. So how you nurture your connections inside of you, in other words, how you take care of yourself, is going to show, it's going to be reflected in the way you communicate to others. So when you see somebody communicating in an unhealthy way to others, you can tell that that person is also unhealthy inside of themselves, because that communication is a reflection of what's inside of you. So in a teoshbaye, you learn how to communicate in a healthy way. So you learn this as a child.
In traditional Lakota style parenting, this is done by not just mom and dad, it's done by all the moms and dads. In the teoshbaye system, which is something I mentioned earlier, when I define this, I like to use myself as an example. My mother and her sisters, those are all my mothers. And the partners of these women are my fathers. And the children of those marriages are all my brothers and sisters. Now my mother's brothers, those are my uncles. And their wives are my aunts, and their children are my cousins. That's my mother's side. My father's side, since he's married to my mom, and my mom is my mom, that means my dad and his brothers are my other fathers, and all the wives of those men are my other mothers. And the children from those marriages are my other brothers and sisters. And my father's sister, that's my auntie. And the husbands of those women are going to be my uncles. And the children from those unions will be my other cousins. And all moms and dads are just as important as the ones you were born from. So should something happen to your biological parents, you still got a bunch of moms and dads that are going to take care of you. They all love you. And they're going to help you get through that difficult time. But you're never alone. So that is a very powerful system. There's no orphans. And this is the reason why all these people are responsible for raising the children. The boys are raised by the men, warrior societies. Every warrior society has a certain specialty. So they watch the children, and they see what their tendencies are. And whatever they have a talent for, then they push them into the society that focuses on that talent. And now the same thing is happening for the girls. There's various women's societies, and that same process happens there too. So that way, their talent gets discovered,
It gets developed, and they learn that your talent is what you use to bless the people. And so this is how the society is, and when things are happening in the camp circle, they're learning about that emotionally. So by the time they're 15 years old, they're very emotionally developed. They're always being guided by the older people whenever something is happening. And there are times of the day where it's their time. They can do whatever they want. But they have all this training. So peer pressure was not really a problem back then. But in a dualistic world, it is. When you don't have proper parenting, you're going to have peer pressure. But in traditional societies, that didn't exist. And anything closely resembling it was dealt with in a healthy way. Because you see, back then, they thought in a community-minded perspective, whereas in today's world, it's me. Yeah? Me, 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 me. Not you, me. Yeah? And then you have jealousy entering and other things, and there's more opportunities to oppress one another in the modern society, whereas in the traditional society, it was more about cooperation. And when somebody was about to make a mistake, the others come and say, hey, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. What if you do that? This might happen. And so that guy might say, oh, yeah, and that. Yeah, that's a Lakota expression. Oh, yeah, and that. I'm just kidding. Shoot. Anyway, so that kind of thing didn't happen because people were community thinking. They were more about what can we do so that people can live? What can we do so that people will feel loved, that people will feel protected, that the people will feel good? So different warrior societies would sponsor events. They might have a celebration where they'll do a buffalo hunt and everybody gets fed. When a hunter brings down a buffalo, that doesn't belong to just his family. No. He knows that. He's grown up to learn that that belongs to the whole people. So he's happy to feed everybody. It's community thinking. What can we do? So when they have these kind of occasions, then as they're feasting in the nighttime, whatever warrior society sponsored that event, the members from that particular warrior society are going to get up in front of the people, and then they're going to all make speeches, yeah? They're going to say, yeah, one time I went among the crows. They were sleeping. I stole all their horses, and they didn't even know it. That's how sneaky I am. And the people all cheer, and you hear the women say, lee, 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 lee. Yeah, like that. That is for the people. That is not for the warrior. The warrior is not bragging. The warrior is saying to the people, this is how brave I am to protect and love you, my people. That's the spirit. So he's not bragging himself up. In fact, his fellow warriors are cheering him on too. They're all saying, yeah, right on. This is how we are. And then another one will get up and he'll tell another story. He's going to get up and say, yeah, I went among the people at Red Scaffold. I stole all their cherries. I'm just kidding. If you're from Cheyenne River, you know what I mean. Oh, shoot. So everybody, lee, 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 leaves. Oh, shoot. Oh, man. Crazy guy here. But they do this because they want the people to feel reassured that they are protected by mighty warriors, that they can live knowing that they are safe, that they are well guarded, that they will always have food to eat. This is why they do these events. They didn't do it to show off. And see, today, we're not raised like that. So today, when somebody does this, people say, shit, sit down, man, quit bragging. Everybody's accusing each other of bragging. They think they're bragging. And some people probably are, because they're not raised traditionally. I was just thinking about this today, that how back then we were more of a community-minded society, and we watched out for one another, and this didn't give many opportunities for peer pressure to exist. I mean, there were contests, but these were contests that also taught you things too. And if you won a contest, you have to do something for the people. You don't go around saying, I'm the winner, look at my trophy, look at my gold medal, this is how good I am. See, that's what the Western world says. But in the Lakota world, when you won a competition, you did something for the people because you're thanking them that they're honoring you. So you're honoring them back. Chi oni hampi, they call that. This is honoring one another. And this really makes everybody feel good. And it just creates a wonderful atmosphere to want to live, to want to grow up, to want to help one another. And this doesn't have anything to do with being Indian. This is what your body does. Your body does the same thing. Your lungs want your heart to live. Your heart wants your kidneys to live, and on down the line. Everybody is on each other's side. They're honoring each other inside your body. Your body is showing you how to live. This is not a Lakota thing. This is a human concept. But it's how the world around us is that influences us. And as some of us fall under that spell of focusing on our skin colors and our nationalities and saying, hey, you guys are all this way, so you stay over there. And eventually people start believing this kind of crap. We have that tendency to only focus on the outer. And this is where duality is created. So, like I said, this way is not really a Lakota way, it's a human way. And I think this is what we need to come back to that. As humans, we need to come back to that. Because this is a way to live. In these teoshbaye societies, you have people doing different things, like, say, for example, the security, the feeding of the group, the economics of the group, the judicial system, the emotional, social aspects. Everybody is seen to in this kind of situation. And there's going to be different societies focusing on each aspect. And this really works. And our bodies are the same way. Our Lakota camp circle is actually a reflection of the human body. In the human body, you have blood cells that fight when something intrudes your body, a virus or whatever. And these blood cells, they attack it. They get it out of the system. They may get sick first, though. But they're going to learn the disease. They're going to learn how the disease works, and then they kick it out. And now they're stronger for it. They've learned from the disease. In other words, they've learned from the difficulty that came among them. So your body's teaching you something here. That we should be this way too. That when we have difficulties in our lives, that we should learn from that. So our bodies are saying the same thing because they're doing the same thing. They're also learning from that. Whenever something happens to the body, they learn from it. And they start the healing process. The body takes care of you. So you should take care of it. Your body wants to take care of you. Your body is functioning on love. It loves you. So you should take care of it. Always remember, don't go extreme. Because when you go extreme, that's when you form these ideas of perfection, and that's when addictive thinking comes into play. And that can really lead to psychosomatic illnesses. That's why you have to be careful. When I say be good to your body, you don't have to become a mountain climber or anything like that. But just take better care. and do the best that you can. And so that's what I do. To learn more about Lakota spirituality, I have written a book called Wichocha Otechige. This book also includes Lakota star knowledge information. All the videos that I make, which are about Lakota spirituality, Lakota star knowledge, and cultural information, are based on this book. This book costs 99 American dollars, and this price includes the shipping cost as well as a tracking number. And to learn more about Lakota language, I have written a Lakota language book called Shonte Etaha Owoglake, Speaking from the Heart. And all my Lakota language videos are based on this book. This book cost 119 American dollars, and this price includes the shipping cost as well as a tracking number. I also teach online, and I give spiritual consultations as well. The price for these sessions are 35 American dollars an hour. If you are interested in any of my services and products, you can send payment via PayPal to my email address, which is hehaka7@yahoo.com. That's HEHAKA, the number 7@yahoo.com. And also include your shipping address and your email address when you send your payment. Lila Pilamayelo, thank you very much.
Atachia chahe hanili la washte chilake Nishnana awichi yukchana taku cash ewak tushe Wawate na mishta